Chapter 5 of Ox Team Days on the Oregon Trail. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Barry Eads. Ox Team Days on the Oregon Trail by Ezra Meeker and Howard Driggs. Chapter 5 The Westward Rush. We crossed the Missouri on the 17th and 18th of May. The next day we made a short drive and camped within hearing of the shrill steamboat whistle that resounded far over the prairie. The whistle announced the arrival of a steamer. This meant that a dozen or more wagons could be carried across the river at a time, and that a dozen or more trips could be made during the day, with as many more at night. Very soon we were overtaken by this throng of wagons. They gave us some troubles and much discomfort. The rush for the West was then at its height. The plan of action was to push ahead and make as big a day's drive as possible. Hence it is not to be wondered at that nearly all the 1,000 wagons that crossed the river after we did soon passed us. "Now, fellers, just let 'em rush on. If we keep cool, we'll overcatch 'em afore long," said Macaulay. And we did. We passed many a team, broken down as a result of those first few days of rush. People often brought these and other ills upon themselves by their own indiscretion. The traveling had not progressed far until there came a general outcry against the heavy loads and unnecessary articles. Soon we began to see abandoned property. First it might be a table or a cupboard, or perhaps a bedstead or a cast iron cook stove. Then feather beds, blankets, quilts, and pillows were seen. Very soon here and there would be an abandoned wagon, then provisions, stacks of flour and bacon being the most abundant, all left as common property. It was a case of help yourself if you would. No one would interfere. In some places such a sign was posted, "Help yourself." Hundreds of wagons were left and hundreds of tons of goods. People seemed to vie with each other in giving away their property. There was no chance to sell, and they disliked to destroy their goods. Long after the end of the mania for getting rid of goods to lighten loads, the abandonment of wagons continued, as the teams became weaker, and the ravages of cholera amongst the emigrants began to tell. It was then that many lost their heads and ruined their teams by furious driving, by lack of care, and by abuse. There came a veritable stampede, a strife for possession of the road, to see who should get ahead. It was against the rule to attempt to pass a team ahead. A wagon that had withdrawn from the line and stopped beside the trail could get into the line again, but on the march it could not cut ahead of the wagon in front of it. Yet now whole trains would strive, often with bad blood, for the mastery of the trail, one attempting to pass the other. Frequently there were drivers on both sides of the team to urge the poor suffering brutes forward. We were on the trail along the north side of the Platte River. The cholera epidemic struck our moving column where the throng from the south side of the Platte began crossing. This, as I recollect, was near where the city of Kearney now stands, about 200 miles west of the Missouri River. "What shall we do?" passed from one to another in our little family council. "Now, fellers," said Macaulay, "don't lose your heads, but do just as you've been doing. You gals, just make your bread as light as ever, and we'll take river water the same as ever, even if it is most as thick as mud, and boil it." We had all along refused to dig little wells near the banks of the Platte, as many others did, for we had soon learned that the water obtained was strongly charged with alkali, while the river water was comparatively pure, except for the sediment, so fine as seemingly to be held in solution. "Keep cool," Macaulay continued. "Maybe we'll have to lay down, and maybe not. Anyway, it's no use frettin'. What's to be will be, 'specially if we but help things along." This homely yet wise counsel fell upon willing ears, as most of us were already of the same mind. We did just as we had been doing, and all but one of our party escaped unharmed. We had then been in the buffalo country for several days. Some of the young men, keen for hunting, had made themselves sick by getting overheated and drinking impure water. Such was the experience of my brother Oliver. Being an adventurous spirit, he could not restrain his ardor, gave chase to the buffaloes, and fell sick almost to death. This occurred just at the time we encountered the cholera panic. It must be the cholera that had taken hold of him, his companions argued, Some of his party could not delay. "It is certain death," I said, "to take him along in that condition." They admitted this to be true. "Divide the outfit, then," it was suggested. Two of Oliver's companions, the Davenport brothers, would not leave him, so their portion of the outfit was set aside with his. This gave the three a wagon and a team. Turning to Buck, I said, "I can't ask you to stay with me." The answer came back as quick as a flash, "I'm going to stay with you without asking." And he did, too, though my brother was almost a total stranger to him. We nursed the sick man for 4 days amidst scenes of death and excitement such as I hope never again to see. On the 5th day we were able to proceed and to take the convalescent man with us. The experience of our camp was the experience of hundreds of others. There were countless incidents of friends parting, of desertion, of noble sacrifice, of the revelation of the best and the worst in man. In a diary of one of these pioneers I find the following: "Found a family consisting of husband, wife, and 4 small children, whose cattle we supposed had given out and died. They were here all alone, and no wagon or cattle in sight. They had been thrown out by the owner of a wagon, and left on the road to die." From a nearby page of the same diary I read: "Here we met Mr. Lot Whitcomb, direct from Oregon. Told me a great deal about Oregon. He has provisions, but none to sell, but gives to all he finds in want, and who are unable to buy." End of chapter 5.